I was recently asked about Mike Mentzer's discovery of the issue of overlapping and how it can lead to overtraining. This person wanted to know more about what overlapping is and what Mike did to remedy it. So, back to the archives we go. In the August 1997 edition of All Natural Muscular Development magazine, Mike shared his thoughts on the overlapping issue as follows. At the beginning of last year, I couldn't help but notice that more and more of my long-term phone clients were calling back for their regular progress monitoring follow-up calls, reporting that while they were still making good progress with strength increases in the legs, their upper body strength increases slowed down rather quickly after embarking on the particular workout protocol I set them up on, within 6 weeks. It was never the opposite, that their leg progress stopped and their upper body continued increasing. This was a new bit of information to analyze. Why the upper body ceased making progress while the legs continued? My clients were on a 3-workout protocol which had them training chest and back together, then training shoulders and arms 72 hours later, then training legs 72 hours after that. None of the exercises they were performing for the upper body overlapped, involved, and affected the legs. The legs were getting much more recovery time. However, almost every exercise they performed for the upper body overlapped, involved, and affected a considerable portion of the rest of the upper body. For instance, while the incline press is traditionally considered a pectoral exercise, it unavoidably involves the deltoids, and even more so, the triceps. The red flag went up for me on that one, when one of my gym clients had a terrific incline press workout. He was up 40 pounds and 2 reps from his previous workout. When he came back into the gym 72 hours later, his pectorals weren't sore at all, but his triceps were literally sore to the touch. And while the pull-down is traditionally regarded as a latissimus exercise, it is also a very effective deltoid exercise, and even more so as a biceps exercise. In fact, the close grip palms up pull-down is the best biceps exercise you could do, better than the curl. When performing a curl, whether a nautilus curl or conventional barbell curl, you work the biceps around a single joint axis, the elbow, and the predominant stress goes into the lower biceps. When performing a close grip palms up pull down, you are working the biceps around 2 joint axes, the elbow and the shoulder. Thus you are working the biceps muscle more uniformly from both ends. Then, 72 hours after my clients trained the chest and back, they worked their shoulders and arms. Again, the exercises for those muscles overlapped, involved, and affected the pecs and the lats again. In other words, all of the upper body muscles were being worked twice within 72 hours, whereas the legs were being worked only once every 9 days, or every 216 hours. That's an enormous difference in recovery time. And remember, the legs were still responding positively in every case. The solution was to separate the upper body workouts by a greater number of days, with a leg workout inserted between them. In addition, I added an extra day of rest time between workouts to further ensure that enough time was elapsing so that both the recovery process and the growth production process were completed, and so that there would be no short-circuiting of growth production less than 100%. And because I came to understand that an extra rest day or 2 beyond what a client had been doing while making progress would not pose a threat of a negative, that no decompensation could occur, I now had no fear or hesitancy with doing so. Also very important here, I instructed my clients that sticking points in progress weren't inevitable. I continued to remind them on their regular follow-up calls that as they continued to grow stronger week to week, lifting progressively heavier weights, the stresses grow greater at the same time, and that unless they periodically inserted another rest day or 2 to compensate for the ongoing increasing stresses, the stresses would eventually reach a critical point and would constitute overtraining. Finally, they would cause a slowdown in progress and then cessation of progress entirely. After a time, depending on the rate of progress and the efficiency of their particular recovery ability, they would start training once every 5 or 6 days as their regular regimen. This last point, I've come to discover, is one of the most crucially important elements of anaerobic exercise science, and until now has been completely overlooked by everyone. Every other bodybuilding theorist, high intensity or otherwise, has the trainee stay on the same volume and frequency protocol virtually forever. Once the fundamental principles are understood, the issue of progressively decreasing the volume, and especially the frequency, becomes the most pressing issue. If the bodybuilder bears this in mind, he will never reach a sticking point. There will be no need to periodize, and he will actualize his muscular potential in a relatively short time.